Children in Asia Bibi's own country are reportedly play-acting her hanging. This comes as the Pakistani Christian remains in great danger waiting for asylum. Because of her situation, Senator Rand Paul is calling once again for no foreign aid to go to Pakistan until she is out of that country and truly free. The United Kingdom recently denied her asylum, fearing for the safety of the UK's consulate staff in Pakistan. Last month, a court acquitted Bibi of the charges that landed her in prison since 2010, facing a death sentence. She was convicted of drinking from a contaminated water jug, which is blasphemy accusations against her by Muslim neighbors. Faith McDonald is with the Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition. She joins us now with more on Asia Bibi's plight. So can you tell us what you know about her situation right now?
Sure. Thanks so much, Ephraim. This is a terrible situation. You know, you could almost say it's going out of the frying pan and into the fire. To be sentenced to death, to be in a horrible prison in solitary confinement for 8 years in a windowless room, then to have your sentence overturned, but to find out that you're probably in more danger now and your family is in danger and all of the rest of the Christians in your country are in more danger than they were before is just an appalling situation.
Do you think removing foreign aid, as Senator Rand Paul is suggesting, will guarantee safety for Bibi and possibly help other persecuted Christians there?
Well, I think that the U.S. has a lot of leverage, even more so than some other Western countries. And of course, financial incentives are always helpful. So it could. I know that Prime Minister Khan had first held up the Supreme Court judges overturning the case and was very much on that side. But as the violence and the threats from the radical Islamists, including the group that's called the TLP, continued, he seemed to have changed his mind and said he would allow them to appeal to the Supreme Court decision. So I think we just have to do what we can. And the U.S. has a great bully pulpit, and the rest of the world does listen to what the U.S. says. So we just need to keep praying as well.
And we know the United Kingdom turned down the request for asylum. Her attorney says they haven't left Pakistan because she hasn't been granted asylum anywhere. But I'm also hearing reports that Canada, France, and Spain have offered asylum. What do you know about this?
Yes, Ephraim, I've heard that as well, that all three of those countries have. And I think that, you know, right now, the biggest problem is being able to get her out of the country safely, that Canada would accept her, that France and Italy have both said that they would accept her. I've also heard some stories about Germany as well. Her attorney, of course, who is a Muslim but has also been threatened with death by the radicals, fled to the Netherlands. And my goodness, you know, the Supreme Court judges should be needing to flee the country as well. And this is a horrific situation. We need to see safety for these people, but we also need to see a transformation in Pakistan where there is a regard for religious freedom. And, you know, the government is able to make it so that people like this, the TLP and the other radicals, realize that they're going to be punished for this kind of behavior.
Yeah, real quickly before you go, your group is holding a prayer vigil tonight. Can you quickly tell us about that?
I am not part of this prayer vigil. I had not heard about this, actually. Sorry. Mm-hmm. We have ongoing prayer for Asia Bibi and for all of the Christians in Pakistan, as well as persecuted Christians around the world, through Save the Persecuted Christians, and also as in my work as the International Religious Liberty Director at the Institute on Religion and Democracy, IRD.
Faith McDonald, we thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much, Ephraim. God bless you.
You too. A federal judge blocked President Donald Trump's executive order barring asylum hearings to immigrants who enter the country illegally. The order requires asylum seekers to make their claim at one of the 26 official points of entry on the southern border or face immediate deportation. A U.S. district judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking enforcement of that policy. Turning now to Chicago, where police have identified the gunman who killed 3 people at a hospital as 32-year-old Juan Lopez. A police spokesperson says it's unclear whether Lopez killed himself or if he was shot by officers at Mercy Hospital Monday. The victims were Dr. Tamara O'Neill, pharmacy resident Dania Less, and Officer Samuel Jimenez. The shooting is being investigated as a domestic dispute between Lopez and O'Neill. Both knew each other. Right now, basic survival is the goal for victims of the disastrous California wildfires. They've lost everything in most cases. And even though many churches were lost in the fire as well, CBN News' Mark Martin tells us some are still stepping up to help those in need.
The wildfires burned roughly 2/3 of the churches in Paradise, California to the ground. But even though churches have been hit hard, members are pushing through to help their neighbors in need. The East Avenue Church in Chico now doubles as an emergency shelter, a haven for hundreds who've been displaced by the Camp Fire in Northern California. Blair Manus lived in his Paradise home for nearly 22 years before the wildfire destroyed it. He now calls the East Avenue Church home. A lot of volunteers are on site to support victims like Manus.
People have walked in here and done an amazing job, not because I've done any of the organizing, but because we just gave them permission to come in and do what they do best.
The church not only is providing food and medical help, volunteers are also trying to find those on the missing list.
We are cross-referencing every person that we have in our facility with people on that list. And last night, our medical team was actually seeing people one by one, and they actually were successful in identifying 12 people on the list.
CBN's Operation Blessing is also on the ground in Northern California, meeting with church leaders and giving grants to churches that are helping victims. Operation Blessing met the lead pastor of Paradise Alliance Church, Josh Gallagher. He told the team how his family barely escaped the campfire, which leveled their home. Gallagher sent his family on to Sacramento, but stayed behind to help other evacuees.
Right now, we don't even know where our congregation is. They are literally scattered all over California, surrounding states, and the nation. But we don't even know right now, and that is the heaviest thing that's on our heart. Because we're supposed to be caring for these people, spiritually and physically, and we're not even sure where they are at this point.
Gallagher believes the church will be essential to rebuilding the community and is hopeful that Paradise, California can be reborn as church leaders join with city leaders and groups like Operation Blessing come alongside to help.
As we were talking with some government officials, they let us know that if this community is going to be rebuilt, the faith community is going to have to lead the charge, because it's within the faith community that people find hope, they find belonging, they find worth.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
Forecasters are predicting unusually cold weather this Thanksgiving. Some parts of the Northeast could see the coldest Thanksgiving in more than 100 years. Joe Bastardi is chief forecaster for Weather Bell Analytics. He joins us now. So, Joe, what's the reason for these record cold temperatures come Thanksgiving Day?
Well, it's the overall pattern that we're evolving into the winter. And if you were here earlier, we've been saying we're expecting a cold, long, cold, stormy winter this year. And we're seeing some pretty unusual things. When was the last time it snowed after Easter and before Thanksgiving in New York City, for instance? They had an Easter snowstorm the day after Easter, and of course, they had the snowstorm last week. But I want to put things in perspective, as I love to do all the time. 1938, November 24th, 1938, which was Thanksgiving Day, 23rd and 24th, destructive wildfires in California, $3 million worth of damage, which back in 1938 was a lot, and it destroyed a lot of movie stars' homes. And the very next day, Thursday night into Friday, a major snowstorm in New York City. 44 people lost their lives in the Thanksgiving Day snowstorm of 1938 in New York City. So you can see that the weather has done things like this before. Of course, during the summertime, everybody loves to talk about the heat index. I know it's 95, but it feels like it's 120 out there, right? Well, the wind chills with this is sort of the counter to that, to make you feel even more miserable. The wind chills of this are going to be below zero during the day Thursday. The wind chills of 5 to 10 degrees for the Macy's Day Parade. And as if to pile on, I'm going to pile on myself. I do my cooking outside, deep fry our turkey. And where I am, it's going to be 10 to 15 degrees when we're cooking that turkey. So this is a tremendous outbreak of cold air, no doubt about it. And it's signaling we do believe it's going to be a long, cold winter this year.
You're just making me feel all warm and fuzzy, Joe. Will we see any storm activity like snow or ice over this 4-day weekend?
Well, we're going to have a big storm of rain, predominantly rain, maybe freezing rain, sleet in the mountains Friday night into Saturday. It won't be like the big storm that hit last week, though. It'll be predominantly rain. Strong east to southeast winds come in Saturday into the coastal area, so no worry about snow in New York or Philadelphia on Saturday. I do think there's a chance that we see a blizzard, though. Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Sunday into Sunday night. So the end of the weekend out there gets real rough. And the pattern, once we get by Thanksgiving, at least through the opening 10 days of December, looks cold and stormy for much of the United States. A positive to this is with the jet breaking through in California, they're going to get enough rain that we can put an end to this wildfire season out there.
All right. Well, that will be good if we can put an end to the wild season. Joe Bastardi of Weather Rail Analytics, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated always.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, President Trump's Supreme Court nominees make headlines, but he's making lower court appointments as well. And these judges will also have an impact on the nation. We'll explore that topic when we come back. President Trump has named 2 justices to the U.S. Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, but he's made even more appointments to lower courts. Here to talk about those and how they could shape the nation's judiciary is Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. So, Tom, tell us about the circuit court seats the president has filled and how that could change legal rulings we've seen on key issues over the past several years.
Well, I think it's well north of 60 appellate court judge seats the president has filled. It's called the circuit courts, as you point out. And so that's a record in many respects in terms of prior presidents, in terms of the sheer number and volume of circuit court judges being approved. There's still a lot of lower court judges. You have your appellate courts, of that is Supreme Court, but the first line are the district court judges. There are many that still need to be approved, and Judicial Watch and other conservative groups have been calling on the Senate to stay in session up until the last possible moment to get those nominees and other nominees through onto the courts. Because we see just recently you have these lower court judges making these rulings that have nationwide impact on immigration and other matters.
Can you highlight why the circuit court is so significant?
Well, the circuit court judges are the appellate court judges where it's usually your court of last resort at the federal level, since the Supreme Court takes up so few cases. So if there's an issue, it's often settled at the appellate courts by the circuit court judges. So it's important that good judges be put on board there, and the president has a good record of appointing conservative jurists to the bench, and we hope he continues to do so. But we've got to get all those judges, both at the lower courts and the upper courts, put on the bench this year, because what happens is when the new Congress comes into session, the nominations in many ways have to be restarted, and then the president is behind the 8 ball again.
So we're up against the clock here. What does the president have left to fill?
Well, there are 178 pending nominations to the executive branch. Over 50 of those are district court judges. So there are a lot of judgeships available to be filled in. And Senator McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, who runs the Senate on behalf of the Republicans, should keep his Senate in session up until Christmas if necessary, and then past Christmas to get these judges confirmed. Well, the problem is the Democrats on the Hill, because they don't have the filibuster available to them for a lot of these nominees, have been invoking the so-called 30-hour rule, which means that judges that are really uncontroversial are facing days of debate, and that just comes up the works. And so the way around that is to make them be in session 7 days a week, practically speaking, up until the new Senate comes into town.
Switching gears here briefly, tell us about the Judicial Watch's latest legal action in federal court when it comes to Hillary Clinton's email misconduct.
Well, we had a new ruling from a federal court judge that Hillary Clinton has to answer some questions she didn't want to answer under oath in writing about her email system. Specifically, we're wanting Mrs. Clinton to tell us how her email system was created, why it was created, who's responsible, and other key facts. And so we had to go to court to fight to get that answer. Mrs. Clinton objected to the question. Unfortunately, the Justice Department and the State Department were on her side in that debate. But nevertheless, the court overruled their objections, and now she'll have to answer those key email questions in the next few weeks.
Be watching for that. Do you think it's likely that Mitch McConnell will keep the Senate in session until all these justices are approved?
He'll keep him in longer than might otherwise have happened in prior years, but maybe not long enough. So he needs to hear from the American people. We want all these judges approved. There's no good reason that the Senate shouldn't work and get these nominees through.
All right, Tom Fitton, thank you so much for your insight.
You're welcome.
Still ahead, some new digital technology gift ideas that might be the answer for that person on your list who's just a big challenge to shop for. Stay with us. And welcome back. One Thanksgiving tradition is all the shopping for bargains on gifts. There are plenty of sales, but what are some great gift ideas, especially when it comes to all things digital? Our digital editor, Caleb Kinchlow, joins us now with a look at a few new items. We're going to begin over here. Light bulbs, smart light bulbs. They're not new. What's special about?
Right, they're not new, Ephraim, but you know, the thing about most smart bulb technology is that you need a hub in order to make it work.
Okay.
Now, the thing about these bulbs particularly, all you need is the bulb and you need your Wi-Fi from your smart device.
Okay. And I can turn it on with my smart.
You can turn it on, but also, Ephraim, I mean, there's also this footage as well I can show you.
Okay.
But there's literally 16 million colors on here. But not only that, you can also dive in a bit deeper as well. If you want to change the mood, change the atmosphere, it has all those different things for you, Ephraim. There's even some presets for you for the holidays. If you want to go relax, you want to host a party. But also, you can even set it to mimic day and night. It really granular and change the settings for speed, flicker, light temperature, color, all those different great settings by LifeX.
And it looks like it's not terribly expensive. We're looking like $19 to $60 there, so that's not bad.
They have a lot of different lights, but these are their top seller, the top three. You get those from the website, and of course, Best Buy and Walmart as well.
Okay, cool. Now we got this big chess set here in the center. Tell us a little bit about why is this high tech?
Okay, so now with this chessboard, it actually uses what's called telerobotics, which is actually the use of semi-autonomous movement with robotic technology. So the thing about this one that's really cool is when you play against the app, if I move a piece, and actually it's not turned on right now, but I move a piece, then the other pieces from the robot will actually move on its own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's
so I'm playing a robot.
You're playing a robot, but also in addition to that, Ephraim, you can also play against, there's 20 million people who are also on chess.com. You can also play against like your friends who have the app as well to play against it. So it's a whole different like real world dynamic to playing the game.
So I only need this one board and I can play against someone else.
Yeah, using the app.
Okay.
And the pieces move by themselves. It's a crazy.
Yeah, indeed. Now you've also got a drone with you.
Oh yes. This drone here, AirHog, the Supernova. The thing about this drone is actually has, as you see, there's no extra controllers. There's 5 different sensors here, and there's also a sensor underneath or on the bottom. Now what you do here is actually kind of hard to control. That's part of the fun, learning how to fly it.
Yeah.
Now what I'm doing is so I can control it here in this big space here. So actually, I'm gonna show you how this works here on this drone. Oh, watch this. I'm gonna take it and now it controls. Okay, there's a lot of things happening here in this space.
Okay.
But the sensors control it, and there's also a lot of different trick modes that you can do as well. So I can do some tricks here. I can control it. Oh, man, it's kind of hard. There you go.
I see. So I can control.
Yeah, with the sensors on the side here. Oh.
Now, this, as a drone, is taking video as it's up there?
No, there's no video for this one.
No video.
Not for this particular one. It's just a fun, game kind of practice to learn how to fly.
Okay.
You get about 5 to 8 minutes of flying time on this drone, which is actually for these kind of drones, is actually a lot.
So 5 to 8 minutes.
Yes.
All right, and how far? I mean, it will go as high as I will let it?
Right, as high as you'll let it. Mostly it's for indoor use only.
Oh, for indoor
use only, because really it's all about the tricks.
Okay.
And I've been practicing for like weeks trying to get the tricks.
Well, let's see, Caleb.
I'm going to try to get another board. Okay, so I can get the control. Let's see. See if I can get it to come down. Okay, it's like going up into this.
All right, come down.
There we go. Okay, I'm trying to do a spin move for you if I can get it to. See, it's hard, Ephraim. It's really hard, but it's a lot of fun. As you can see.
Wow! And this retails for only
$29.99. $29.99.
$29.99.
Yeah. Yes.
Now the big ticket item here on the board is what?
This is the big ticket item. It's actually $369. However, we do have a promo code for it.
Okay.
Use CBN1. They'll give you 10% off on this chess set.
CBN1. I saw some images of you. Is that you playing with your son?
Yes. Yeah, we've been playing. We've been playing this game, playing against the AI.
Okay.
And, he's actually really good. He's been like practicing, on the app and playing against the AI. And it's really cool to watch him watch the pieces move back and forth with my son. So it's really cool.
Now, does he win?
Sometimes he wins. Well, there's different modes. There's like 20 different modes you can play in order to interact and learn your skills. Okay, so I can match my skill set.
Yeah,
to it. And you can also live stream and watch other chess masters play, but on the board though. So it's a whole different dynamic by saying, hey, instead of me just watching it on the video screen, I'm literally watching the chess pieces physically move on their own.
So I watch my board and it does it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's some good stuff. All right, Caleb Kinchel, thank you so much for the fun gift ideas. Amazing stuff. Stay with us. There's much more of CBN News Watch coming up, and it's coming up right after this. We'll be right back. Thanksgiving is just a couple of days away, so our social media team took to the streets to learn about some of your Thanksgiving traditions.
So we spend all of Thanksgiving with my mom's side of the family, and then at night we go to my dad's side of the family, so I get to see everyone.
It's usually either, if it's not making a turkey, then we'll actually do Chinese food.
I think trying to see family is really, I guess, our biggest tradition in a way.
Just to eat and watch football. Yes, we always go down to the Outer Banks to kind of be as one family unit all in one big house.
And it's a Thanksgiving tradition of sorts here at CBN News. Several Thanksgiving weekend specials for you. Faith Nation is going to have a docudrama about Reverend Robert Hunt's first landing and a look at finding civility in politics. And for Newswatch, a one program examining the Native American Squanto and Pocahontas and their untold stories of faith. And the other, looking at our divided nation and finding solutions for unity. So be sure to tune into the news channel, or you can find it on demand at cbnnews.com or our CBN News app. Until next time, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye and God bless. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.